Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back. You can go way up and I can go back. Well, it sounds very good right there. Okay, the mics are live. Now you can go up and I can go back.
You never know what's happening on the break, do you?
You never know. That is true. That is true.
So,
well,
Joe, you're responsible for our next guest. I think you should introduce her.
Yes. Well, this is another wonderful realtor that we have from a fantastic office, John Altick's office, that out in my area of town, and we've had John on the show. And he's a great guy, just a ball of energy and a lot of fun to be around, and he tends to attract those kind of realtors.
And John, if you're listening, if you're up to 100 agents, my checkbook is out.
He's enjoying the beach right now. So,
okay, so he's not bothered. He's not
he'd
listening.
have to be on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, there we go. And we know he's tuning in, obviously. So
yes, absolutely.
Because if I was at the beach, I'd be listening to this show.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Even the goats listen to the show.
Of course. We have to keep them chimed down in the background.
Yeah.
So we have Miss Jarrah Owens that's going to be up on the next segment here. And Jarrah, just say hello and...
Hi, happy Valentine's Day, family. Chad, Lauren, Brittany, Jace. I love you guys.
Oh, you see that now?
Yeah.
Now, we get back to what this day is really about. Valentine's Day, by the way.
It's a hallmark moment. I'm filling up the clips.
Yes, exactly.
So, anyway. And Jerry, you're here with some people that are fairly new, and you're fairly new yourself. Now, tell me when you got in the business.
I've been starting a little bit of real estate for about 4 years. I've done contracts, and now I'm actually a realtor. So
you're out in the field now, out in the war zone, as they say. So tell me,
challenging.
Yeah, tell me how you got started to get out there and get active in the business, and how has it been for you so far?
Well, having a small baby at home makes it really challenging, but I have a lot of friends and family and things that need help, and I've been assisting them. And so that's how I'm getting started and hoping for referrals and things like that. And past clients from interior decorating and things have helped.
So
you were talking between the break, by the way, about, you mentioned interior design, interior decorating. You have a really neat ability to go in and to stage a property.
That's what I like to do, actually. If there's a listing and there's a lot of clutter, if you'd say, or whatever, I can go in and depersonalize and hire a photographer and have them come take a picture, and they can see a better view, maybe see themselves in the home, and then they want to buy the home.
It's a huge difference. And I am the clutter Nazi, and actually I had one that I staged and told them to get everything off the counters and do all this stuff, and they ended up it was going to be a divorce situation. And they decided to stay together, so they didn't sell the house. But she kept it that way. She said, "I really like it with all cleared up." And so it was really interesting. But it does, one of the things about when you stage a home and you use some of your design talents is that people come in and they look at the home and quit looking at the stuff. Because if you leave all those pictures out, all the family, that's what people are going to go by, and they're going to take a look. Oh, look at the little picture there with the little baby and all the family and all that stuff. So when you say depersonalize, it sounds like, oh, why would you want to depersonalize? Well, that's exactly why I want to do it.
Well, they can see themselves there.
Yeah, and they can picture. The furniture is important being there so they can see if their furniture will fit.
Exactly.
But if you start doing all the other stuff, it's somebody else's home and they can't start relating to it. So
right.
It's very important, and it's a great talent to have, especially when taking listings and things like that.
Well, and one of the things, because in fact there's that old adage, right, is what sells a property? Number one, location. Number two, price. But number three was always declutter, and depersonalize it, right? Because, I never forget this. A long time ago when I first got in, an agent was telling me they walked into a home. They thought there wasn't any inventory. They thought it was a perfect home, et cetera, and they walked in, and the individuals happened to be hunters. So they had every dead animal on the wall
That's
possible,
distracting,
right?
Actually.
And so not only did they say it looked bad, unfortunately, but also these individuals were not into hunting. So then they couldn't envision themselves living in a home where all the dead animals had,
First thing I make them take down is the dead animals.
Right.
And it's just like, no.
So, and like I said, and I've got nothing against one or the other, but it was one of those funny things. They were telling me about it, right?
It's not a judgment. It's just somebody's going to be offended by it.
Absolutely.
First of all, and then people start again looking at that stuff and going, "Wow,
you're right.
There's dead animals all over the wall."
Right.
Let's don't buy this one. So it's really interesting. So you're doing contracts, and tell me what that looked like.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you did that for a long time before you actually got in.
Actually, Ronnie Dees, he's a multi-million-dollar producer, and he's extremely busy, so I've kind of done some of his contracts and helped him get through that so he could focus on what he needed to focus on. And that's actually what got me started.
And the interesting thing about contracts, we talk about all the time, is it's very interesting that you know now from the 4 years about what contracts are, because one of the things that I see, probably the biggest errors I see with a lot of new agents, is contracts.
Oh, yeah.
It's not filled in correctly. Believe it or not, I've seen several of them come across sometimes at the very bottom, where it says the 3%, I agree to be paid 3%.
Last week.
And I'll have to call them and say, you forget to put your 3% of the commission on the contract. Like, oh my gosh.
Do you know that doesn't make any difference?
I know, but you know what?
Because the agreement to be paid is through the MLS.
That is correct.
That is correct. And outside written agreements according to paragraph 8 of the contract.
Oh, boy.
Guess what I teach?
We are speaking to Rob Cook, who is also an educator on contracts, ethics, legal, and broker
But you'd be surprised how many people think they have to have it written in there.
Yes.
To be valid.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is there's a lot of little details, though, in a general contract that...
And by the way, commissions are negotiable out there. They are not necessarily 3%.
I'm using that as an example.
Yeah, I don't want the feds coming in here. No, I don't negotiate, but...
Everyone's like, did Rob really say that out loud?
He's over there, officer.
Well, we went through that time...
We should be arrested by the real estate police for saying that.
We went through a time when antitrust was a huge issue, and we all had to attend antitrust things, and one of the things was talking about that commissions are fixed. They're not,
right.
But the thing is, people out there, these agents earn their money. Trust me.
Oh yeah,
and it's like a duck on the water. It looks like everything's going smoothly, but underneath that little duck's feet are just going like 90 to nothing. So they make it look easy because they're professionals,
right?
And we always talk about the theme of the show is hire a professional,
right? I would agree. And and maybe that's one of the things you can talk about, because, most people don't realize, as Rob was saying, a duck in the water where the water just goes off the back. But, a lot of times you've got to deal with the inspection. You've got to deal with, obviously, the negotiation of the contract. You've got to deal with the lender and what's going on that side of things. If you have any title issues, there's title issues. You've got to deal with, your days associated with where your contingency is for the inspection and your financing agreement. So there's a lot of activities that are going on.
It's very difficult. You have to maneuver a lot of days, like 7 to 10 days here and there, 3 days here, and you have to pay attention to what you're writing.
That is correct.
It's a time-sensitive document. There's a critical path that you have to follow, and one element, and a lot of moving pieces, right, Joe? And if anything changes in that timeline, you got to readjust the whole timeline type of thing. And of course, that gives you a great advantage of the background of having done contracts before you actually got out there and started selling.
Absolutely.
What was your biggest challenge when you started?
Oh, my goodness. Our office is huge, and there's no space really there. So working at home and trying to maneuver everything at home with a 2-year-old, that's the biggest challenge.
Well, you start training right now to be your assistant. You
have a gate
stacking
to keep
papers
him out of the office. I mean, seriously. I think he can climb it, honestly, but it's challenging.
That's funny.
Well, and the great thing, we were talking about this offline, is, and your 2-year-old, when he starts talking a bit more, et cetera, is, no matter how stressful your day is, I'll come home some days and I'll have some really stressful days, and my 5-year-old will say something, I'll be like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't know why I didn't look at it that way.
Ice cream.
That's right.
That makes perfect sense.
But that also reminds you why you were out there working all day long.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
And he is one of the reasons that you are out there working every day, and I'm sure that you feel the same way in that.
It's a big adjustment going from 2-year-old conversation to adult conversation.
Not necessarily.
I feel lost sometimes.
You haven't spoke to Rob offline very much, have you?
I was going to say, you haven't met a lot of my clients.
Well, I was thinking more over the real estate community, because you talk to anybody who's a manager, they say it's like having a lot more kids.
Oh yeah,
and you're not. You're very mature in how you operate and things like that. But it can be a challenge sometimes, because some people get that feeling that they're of greater value to the company.
Right.
They're prima donnas. And so you have to start, like hand-holding them and things like that. So it can be a challenge when you're on that management side of it.
And I think we've told Joe to calm down on Florida.
Yeah, I know. He's
really not as bad as he used to be anymore.
I'm a star, okay? Where are my green M&Ms?
So talk about your first transaction. I mean, like I say, you're fairly new, and you've already done some transactions. What was that first one like? Was you like petrified, or is it?
Honestly, I'm going through my first one right now.
Okay, well now you should have it fresh in your mind then.
Thank you. I listed this house probably a month or so ago, but we showed it after 10 days twice, and it sold.
And it's just that easy all the time.
No, is it? No, I don't think so.
That's the way they all go.
And that's the challenge. You know, we had people who got into the business coming in around 2010, and they think it's going to be like this always.
Right.
And you don't have to dial back that far to look at 2008 when it was the reverse of that. So, and we've been experiencing a hypermarket for about 2 years. And, of course, earlier this morning we were talking about the market, what it looks like. We're going to see a little bit of cooling, but it's still going to be a pretty hot market.
You know, I think one of the things, and that's a good point to sort of talk about this, is one of the things we're
going to talk about oil when we come back.
We were speaking about the fact is, unfortunately, national media is a very bad indicator of what's going on in the local market. It was true in 2008 when they were talking about what was going on with the housing market, and it's true in 2015 when they're talking about what's going on in the oil and gas market. You know, there's still a lot. The market it changes, and there's ups and downs, et cetera, but Houston in general is a very strong market. We are no longer a 65% oil economy. We're now more like a 40 to 43% oil-based economy. Our largest employer in Houston is actually not oil and gas. It's actually healthcare. Look at how many hospitals have gone in. Look at the Texas Medical Center.
It pays to be sick.
That is correct. It does pay to be sick. Look at Baylor College of Medicine. So, you look at the Port of Houston and all the growth around there and what's going on in the Panama Canal and the new boats that'll be docking here from now on. You look at a lot of the other services that we have in Houston. Look at Cisco Foods, the largest food distributor. Here, look at our technology business. Most people look at Hewlett-Packard as being a California-based company, but they employ more people here in the Houston area. So one of the things I tell everybody is don't listen to the national media when it comes to going out there and buying a home because they're going to scare you.
All markets are local. And even in Houston, and of course, Jarrah can testify to this, Kingwood and Atascocita is going to be very different than, Sugar Land and Katy.
Absolutely.
And so it's
holy cow. I don't know how people live in Kingwood anymore. The traffic and everything else out there has gotten so hard. I live there, so I'm saying people are moving there like crazy. It's a great area. The whole Atascocita, it's like a boom market out there that you don't have people talking about. And I know we're up against a break over here, but it's amazing to me how much that area has exploded in the last just few years.
Absolutely.
Jody's shaking her head saying, "What? I'm selling people. Don't tell them you can't move out there. Traffic's terrible."
How can we reach you if you don't mind?
You can reach me on my cell phone. It's 281-250-7357. Or if you'd like to email me, it's Jarrah, Jarrah, at jlarealestate.com.
Well, time flies when you're having fun. We have one more segment coming up, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.